Well, my 102 class, this is it. We are done and we have a final coming up, right? And that's it. And in this class, many people dropped, and I have actually just a handful of you left. And I want to really commend you on sticking this out and staying the course. And again, as you heard me apologize maybe too much, I regretted to skim through some of the material in the way that we did. Um, Ultimately, what I hope, though, is that as you were exposed to this information, that you feel more inspired and inclined to really start taking the history of your nation that you live in very serious, and to, you know, also see how much more helpful it is to be grounded in what we can glean from history, um, to put into contemporary political discussions, right? In other words, um, what I see happen much of the time is discussions about things as if there's no historical precedent or context in which we can glean from. So, for example, when there's a debate about healthcare, whether or not we should have something like socialized medicine, there's almost no discussion about the history of how that operates in different ways in other countries, and some of the problems they have with it, and some of the benefits, and how or how not those nations' systems would correlate to any kind of information that would be relevant, for instance, to our own system. In other words, I'm just trying to point out that, when we study history and we're looking at different things, we're able to kind of at least walk into things in a much more informed way. And with U.S. history, we have the advantage of it being short. I mean, despite the fact that we may have had a lot of information thrown our way in a cram course, can you imagine this cram course for, let's say, China, right? Okay, I mean, it's not. I mean, it can happen, but it's going to be pretty. It's even going to be more. It's more skipping of things than we had here. I mean, China has been a long-standing ancient civilization. Persia, the same. Iran, right now. Okay. Just take the monarchy of the British Isles and try to follow that one with any amount of ease. Okay, so but in any case, you guys have a ground work for looking at how now the United States is kind of in the situations they're in. You understand the importance of the Cold War. I hope that I stressed that enough, that the Cold War, no matter what opinions you have about the Cold War, no matter what opinions you have about the current war on terrorism or anything, that you realize that everything really, for the most part, has been really influenced by the momentum and the history that happened, after World War II. And of course, the importance of World War I and World War II goes without saying. And then, let's see, I wanted to say two things to clarify some points that I may have not said, well, that I said a little bit falsely. I said that there was 500,000 Palestinians expelled from Palestine. I meant to say over 500,000. So there's not a precise number like 500,000. I noticed a lot of you wrote that because I think that I might have said that. Some of you who are paying attention that I said that, I want to make sure I'm a little bit more precise. So over 500,000. And the other point that I said, I said that the 9/11 terrorists were only from Saudi Arabia and Egypt, and many of you correctly put that some were also from some of the Gulf states and Lebanon. And so that is true. What I wanted to make a point on that in particular is that these are nations that we're actually on friendly terms with. In Lebanon, there's an issue with Hezbollah, but that Lebanon has its own complicated dynamic, where the state of Lebanon is not ruled by Hezbollah, but Hezbollah dominates so much of Lebanon, and we're on good terms with the Lebanese government, but Hezbollah is labeled terrorist. Not by everybody in the world, because Hezbollah is only fighting on behalf of Lebanon, but they often fight against Israel, who's our ally. They've killed Marines, but when the Marines were in Lebanon, not outside, they're not doing global acts of terror. But I don't want to go off track too much on that. Just to say, I just want to explain that I was a little imprecise on two things that I wanted to clarify. Now, having said that, I really enjoyed having you. I do hope that that you will, like I said, continue on. And in terms of the final, it's really as simple as I've put it out. Okay, I have never been a professor who's focused on the final as the thing that you should stress out the most about. What I prefer, especially with my online classes, is that if you've toughed it out and did all the work for each week, then my reward to you is that, hey, this was the process you did, and here's your chance now to simply kind of state your thoughts on the class and demonstrate some knowledge of the history that you just received. And so, that's that. If you have really high points and you can afford not to do the exam or to just do it a little half-assed, as they say, I'm not going to be upset by that, but that's your call, because I'm not doing the math. So if you think that you can get away with not doing the exam, then again, that's all you. Now, what I'd like you to do, if you're not going to, can you please just leave me a note saying like, hey, I'm just not going to take the exam, and then I can put the 0 knowing that, okay, that was your choice and you still may have an A. So that's going to be up to you. That's all I really have to say. I hope you enjoyed the news clips that I showed. And by the way, some people like Fox News. I'm not trying to insult a station that you like, but I am going to attack the idea of getting the founder of Duck Dynasty as a supposed expert on the Middle East crisis when we have plenty of even very conservative, educated men and women in this country and the world that might have a little more insight onto the current crisis than the guy who's good with helping kill ducks and animals, and his opinion for himself is valid, but that's not real news. I hope we understand that, okay? And I do lament the fact that nowadays I feel like I see more of that kind of thing, and I see that kind of stuff happening on CNN too. So I actually am I really, really abhor modern media for doing stuff like that, because we have plenty of qualified, educated people that can really talk about stuff. And then when he said we're not even near the vicinity of the Middle East and we're out, I mean, the war officially ended in terms of us being in Iraq officially, but I mean, is he serious, right? He didn't even get corrected by Sean Hannity, but maybe Sean Hannity doesn't know either. And the fact that, I don't know. I don't have to go on any more about that. But if I can get that out of your head to take serious some of this fluff going on, I think that you will be a better American citizen regardless of whatever your political points of view are, okay? So that's what I want to encourage. In any case, I'm done. I'm kind of blabbling now. I was glad to have you, and have the great rest of your summer and life.